Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a whole stack of articles, maybe some research, our own notes, and we really try to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge or insight just for you. Today we're diving into something I think we can all relate to. The wonderfully dramatic, sometimes, let's be honest, messy, but always fascinating world of romantic relationships, and specifically, the surprising power of the words we use within them. We're going to uncover the layers of meaning behind some everyday English phrases, ones used in those, serious conversations. And then, maybe for a bit of fun later, we'll explore the curious universe of pet names.
It's so true. On the surface, these words might seem simple, but they carry significant weight. And cultural context, too, especially when you're navigating delicate topics like relationship discussions. Understanding these linguistic nuances, well, it isn't just about learning English grammar, is it? It's about truly understanding human connection and maybe avoiding those awkward, sometimes even hurtful misunderstandings.
Absolutely. So our mission today, our deep dive, is to extract those vital nuggets of knowledge from our source material. We've got this fantastic dialogue between a couple, they're kind of grappling with their future, and then a really useful linguistic breakdown of it. We want to equip you, our listener, with a sharper understanding of English communication, especially, in the realm of love and those crucial, sometimes pretty nerve-wracking, serious talks. So our central scenario for this deep dive is this couple, let's call them Mark and Sarah, having one of those conversations. You know the kind. And it's going to be our starting point for understanding how words are truly used and what they really mean. Let's jump in. Okay, let's unpack this first bit. Our research really highlights how common words can suddenly take on these very specific, almost loaded meanings when love is in the air. First up, this subtle yet really crucial difference between to love someone and to be in love with someone. Now, to love, that's pretty broad, right?
Yeah.
You can love your parents, your family, your friends, even your pet hamster. I mean, I say I love a good cup of coffee, probably several times a day.
We all do.
But to be in love with, see, that's a whole different ballgame. This specifically means strong romantic feelings. It's reserved, really, only for your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife. It's exclusive. It's more intense.
And what becomes evident here, the kind of so what of this, is how this distinction acts almost like a social gatekeeper. Misinterpreting this can lead to genuinely awkward or deeply misunderstood romantic intentions. Like, imagine someone saying, I love you, meaning it platonically, just as a friend, and the other person hears, I'm in love with you.
Oh, yeah.
That's a recipe for a very uncomfortable moment, right? Or maybe even escalating intimacy way too soon. It just highlights how cultural context shapes even our most basic declarations of feeling.
Definitely. Okay, from there, let's talk about can we talk? Looks so simple, just 3 little words. But wow, the implications are profound. This phrase is almost universally used to start a serious conversation. It often hints at bad news, or at least a difficult, maybe uncomfortable topic. It's just miles away from a casual chat, like saying, hey, I like your shirt, where'd you get it?
Completely different vibe.
Totally.
Yeah.
If someone says to you, maybe out of the blue, with a certain tone, can we talk? What's the first thing you feel? Probably not great, right? It's rarely a sign of good news coming.
Exactly. And what this really tells us is how a simple question, an interrogative, becomes this powerful nonverbal signal. It signals a major shift in the conversation, almost like a warning bell. It connects to these deep-seated social expectations around difficult disclosures. We kind of subconsciously brace ourselves because we know, instinctively, it's rarely used for casual chit-chat or good news. Recognizing this phrase as a universal signal lets you mentally prepare, not just for the topic itself, but for the emotional weight it likely carries. It might allow for a more empathetic, effective response.
Right, and then there's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the surface, the basic meaning is simple enough. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Or maybe just, you understand me. But here's where it gets really interesting. The intonation, the tone, completely changes its meaning. So when it's a question with a rising tone at the end, like, so the professor wasn't very clear in his instructions, you know what I mean? Try saying it like that. Voice goes up. You're genuinely asking. You're checking for understanding.
Yeah, seeking confirmation.
Yeah, you want to make sure the other person is on the same page.
Yeah.
But when it's a statement with a falling tone, like, I really don't like going to your mom's house, you know what I mean? Voice dropping at the end there, it implies mutual understanding. You're not really asking if they understand. You're implying they already know the reasons, even if those reasons haven't been explicitly spelled out. It's almost like saying, you get it right. We don't need to go into detail.
Yeah, it assumes shared context. If we zoom out a bit, this really highlights how much nonverbal cues, specifically intonation in this case, shape the meaning of our words. That subtle shift in tone completely alters whether you're seeking clarification or confirming this shared, maybe unspoken history. It can be a linguistic shortcut, relying heavily on context and that shared background you mentioned. It can avoid a long explanation, or sometimes it can imply one is needed but maybe too awkward to start.
So many layers in just simple phrases. Okay, now let's turn our attention to how these everyday phrases can be incredibly versatile. They get adapted for all sorts of situations, way beyond just relationships. In our source dialogue, Sarah, the girlfriend, asked Mark, where's this relationship going? Simple enough. She clearly wanted to know about the future of their romantic connection, marriage, long-term plans, what's next for them.
The big quest.
Exactly. But this phrase itself is surprisingly adaptable. Our analysis showed it applies really broadly. You could easily ask, where is my career going? If you're thinking about your job, your future trajectory there. Or maybe you're watching a confusing film. This movie is so confusing, I have no idea where the plot is going.
Yeah.
Or even in a work setting. We've been in this meeting for over 2 hours, and I still don't really know where it's going. Its core meaning is about inquiring about future direction, which makes it useful almost anywhere.
That really prompts a crucial question, doesn't it? How does understanding a phrase's core meaning allow us to apply it across these vastly different contexts? It shows how language structures our thoughts about the future, whether that's personal, professional, or even, like you said, the narrative arc of a film. It's a powerful linguistic tool for anticipating what's next. It offers a strategic way to approach planning and understanding trajectories in life.
It really does. Okay, next up, let's tackle an incomplete phrase that popped up in Mark and Sarah's dialogue. Maybe it's just time we. This is typically used to suggest a next step, often a significant change. It's kind of an opening, an invitation to consider an action, and often maybe a difficult one.
It softens the blow a bit, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. You can complete it in so many ways. In their conversation, Sarah was clearly hinting at a breakup. Maybe it's just time we break up. Heavy stuff. But you could also use it for big positive changes. Maybe it's time we have a baby, suggesting a new stage in life. Or for something much less dramatic, it's getting late. Maybe it's time we go home. It's like a gentle, almost tentative proposal for what to do next.
What's really fascinating here is the open-ended nature of the phrase. It deliberately leaves that space. It allows for this whole range of possibilities, from the totally mundane, like going home, to the utterly monumental, like breaking up or having a child, depending entirely on the context. It subtly invites agreement, or perhaps more likely, discussion about a proposed action. It softens the directness of just stating the action as a command or a decision already made. It gives the other person a moment to react before the full weight of the statement lands.
Good point. And to wrap up this segment, let's look at we've had our laughs. In our couple's dialogue, this phrase specifically meant something like, we've had our good times together. It was reflecting on positive shared history, but perhaps with the implication that those good times are now over.
Right, often used when things are ending.
Exactly. But our analysis shows how easily it can be adapted to express different kinds of shared experiences. You could say, we've had our ups and downs, meaning you've experienced both good and bad moments together, acknowledging the whole picture. Or, we've had our moments. Now, that could mean special, memorable times, or, depending on the context and tone, it could actually hint at difficult or problematic times you shared. And then there's the more direct version. We've had our issues, which clearly refers to problems or difficulties, maybe things that still need to be addressed.
If we think about the broader implication here, it really demonstrates the power of idiomatic expressions and how just slight modifications to a core phrase like we've had our can convey a whole spectrum of shared experiences. From positive memories to past struggles, these little variations allow for really nuanced communication about a relationship's history. They can encapsulate years of interaction into just a brief, quite potent phrase.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about something maybe a little lighter, but equally fascinating, I think, in romantic English. Pet names.
Yeah.
Now, just to be super clear, when we say pet names in this context, we're talking about affectionate terms for romantic partners. We are not talking about names for your literal pets, like your cat Fluffy or your dog Fido.
Important distinction.
Yes. We heard Mark use baby and honey with Sarah in the dialogue. Those are pretty common, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. Standard issue, almost.
Right. And beyond those, you'll hear them all the time. Sweetheart, darling, sweetie, maybe cutie. These are typically used just to express affection, closeness.
And that prompts another question, really. Why do we even use these names? What's the function? Beyond just simple affection, pet names often act as these little micro-rituals of intimacy. They help create a unique us bubble, a
Yeah.
private language of affection that often isn't used outside the relationship itself. It's a way to signify a special bond, reinforcing that exclusivity and maybe emotional safety within the partnership.
That makes sense. It's like a little secret code. And then, of course, you get the cheesier or more unique, sometimes totally made-up pet names.
Hmm.
Our research highlighted some real gems, things like Snookums, Honey Bunny, Sweetie Pie. And some couples get really creative and make up their own nicknames based on in-jokes or whatever, things like Pooh Bear or maybe Dumpling. You can just imagine how those might sound to someone listening in from outside the relationship.
A fascinating aspect here is just the sheer creativity and individuality that goes into some of these names. It highlights how personal and often, frankly, nonsensical they can seem to outsiders, yet they're deeply meaningful and endearing to the couple involved. They're almost like a testament to the unique, shared world that a couple builds together. It's their secret language of endearment.
Totally. And it gets even more interesting when we look at the cross-cultural perspective we uncovered. We learned how, in Spanish, for example, some people might affectionately call their partner gorda, which literally translates to fat, but it's used sweetly, affectionately, not as an insult at all,
Wow, that's different.
isn't it? And in French, you might hear ma puce, which apparently means my flea.
My flea, okay.
Right. It really emphasizes that literally translating these affectionate terms just does not work across languages, especially into English. Cultures have vastly different norms, different ideas about what counts as an endearing term. I mean, you wouldn't call your English-speaking partner my flea unless you were maybe trying to start a fight or at least get a very confused reaction.
Definitely not recommended. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it profoundly underscores how language is just so deeply intertwined with culture and emotion. These affectionate terms, these pet names, they often defy literal translation precisely because they carry this weight of cultural context, shared understanding that's unique to that language and that society. It's not just about the words themselves, it's about the feeling, the history, the unwritten rules embedded within them.
What a fascinating deep dive this has been. We started with Mark and Sarah's relationship drama and really unpacked how specific common phrases like can we talk, what I mean, where is this relationship going? And we've had our laughs carry these incredibly nuanced meanings that are absolutely essential for clear communication, especially when emotions are running high in those serious talks.
And we explored the lighter side, too, with pet names, seeing how even those seemingly silly terms actually contribute significantly to intimacy and connection within a couple. Understanding these subtle shifts in meaning, whether it's in a heavy conversation or through an affectionate, maybe slightly weird pet name, it truly enriches our grasp of the English language. And, well, human connection in general, wouldn't you say? Knowledge is really most valuable when it's understood and then applied.
Absolutely. So we really encourage you, our listener, to maybe be a bit more attuned to these linguistic layers in your own conversations. The next time someone says, can we talk? You'll have a better sense of exactly the kind of conversation they're initiating, and perhaps you can approach it with more empathy, more preparedness. And just as you go about your day, maybe consider what other common phrases or everyday expressions you use might have hidden depths or cultural quirks you've never fully considered before. What might they reveal about the unwritten rules of communication in your own life?